What's going on, guys? Waco from Grail Watch, and here with a really cool guy. You know, he's a little under the radar, but I have the pleasure of introducing him now. His name is Jean-Loup Glénat, and he is the head of design at Franck Muller Watchland. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You look great.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to talk to you, Jean-Loup, a little bit about the story of this amazing project, of these 3 watches that we've created. 2 watches, manual wind with Lemania movements, new old stock, vintage Lemania movements from the 90s, and then, of course, the double-sided chronograph. But let's start with these 2 Lemania-based chronographs. So I remember when I came to see Nicholas and you, and I said, listen, I really want to make an homage to this watch. Is it possible? And I remember the moment that you went, you looked around, you came back, and you had these vintage movements, and you're like, this will make the difference because the size of the watch will be correct.
And I remember your reaction at this moment also. It was crazy for you to discover this stock and this movement, beautiful Lemania movement. Yeah.
It was honestly one of the coolest moments in my life. You know, the idea that you had these movements, which would also make because you know, for you, also proportion and size is really important. And we had discussed the idea maybe we could put an automatic movement in there, but that would have made the watch a little bit thicker. And we wanted to honor really the original proportions of the design.
Yeah, and we have this stock of movement, and we wait a long time to find the right moment and the right collaboration to use it, and it was the right time with you.
You're so kind, thank you. And I mean, I was, you know, I had interviewed Nicholas earlier, and I was speaking to him and thanking him because I know that these are representative of a treasure. You know, to have these vintage chronograph movements from the '90s, and then to wait, you know, for I guess 30 years to use them in our collaboration. I'm so honored. You know, so thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So let's talk about the 2 versions of this watch. We decided that we saw the vintage watches. We decided we'd make a 3-counter watch with a black dial and a 2-counter watch with a silver dial as well, right? But I remember we were discussing a little bit about how we will want to update this watch to make it perfect for the modern consumer. So the first thing we discussed was size, and I think that you and Nicola really felt that between 38 and 39 would be perfect, and I think we ended up in 39.
Yeah, it was the right size for us, sure, for this project 29, to respect all the tradition and the size of the 90s watches. Yeah,
exactly. And then then we started to talk about details, and one of the first things we discussed was, you know, because I was saying to you, you know, Jean-Loup, you know, Frank in the 90s, the design language that he created, it was like if Patek Philippe had a really sexy cousin, you know, a Latin guy who was like an amazing watchmaker, but also, you know, he drove a sports car, a convertible. He was salsa dancing in the evening. That's the feeling I get from the watches.
Yeah, but in the same time, like a tradition and respect of the watchmaking.
Yes, and mastering all complications as well, which is incredible.
And sexy watches in the same time. So it was this particularity to Frank, of course.
Exactly. So we said, you know, if we're going to remake this watch, let's maybe increase even the sexiness a little bit, right? Let's go from maybe 10% or 20% more sexy.
Index, yeah.
Exactly.
I remember your request and your idea. It was a good idea to put some touch of sexy and more expressive details, yeah.
Yes, so, you know, Jean-Loup and Nicholas and I decided that we would increase the size of the indexes, both the applied dot markers, but also this amazing Breguet applied numeral 12 on the 3-counter watch, and then the 12 and 6 on the 2-counter watch as well, right? But I have to say, Jean-Loup, your attention to detail is amazing. You know, like the brushing of the case, the step in the bezel having a polished area, just top, only on the top, you know? It's so cool. And then we discussed it, and we were like, you know what, let's give a little extra twist to the chronograph pushers. Tell me a little bit about that.
About the pusher? You asked me to take some spirit of 90s watches, and we put this cannelé on the pusher.
Yes, exactly.
It was a beautiful idea to put it, because we can see on the result it's a beautiful detail. Yeah.
It gives it this real, as the Italian collectors say, tasti tondi effect with this wonderful fluting as well.
My passion and my work of the design team, of course, was around also the dial. It was a very big part for us because we worked again on the grenet finishing, and it didn't happen since a long time in the brand to work this finishing grenet. So we explore again, this finishing grenade was very hard work and very passion. Yeah.
I love it, and in fact, to me, the Glénat. So Glénat, guys, means frosted, and it's this, really beautiful texture. Which you're right. Actually, most modern watches don't use Glénat, and to do it in such a beautiful and refined way was great. And then when we had the discussion too with Nicholas, let's maximize the different decoration areas, so there's a lot of contrast in the dial as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And brushed, and maybe guilloché on the double frizz.
Yes.
And Grénat, of course, it's a beautiful finishing. Yeah.
It's amazing. Can we exchange watches?
Yeah.
So I actually haven't seen the 2-counter watch yet. So this is the black 3-counter watch.
And this is the silver dial now.
Okay, we're going to do a exchange. Oh, wow. That's phenomenal. And I love your idea of using these blued hands as well, right? For both the hour minute and the chronograph. That's phenomenal.
Okay, I take it.
So I wanted to ask you a question, Jean-Loup, about the word anti-magnetic. Right, because we knew the original watches. I think Franck had intended them to be watches that you could really wear and use. And then we had a discussion. Yeah, but the collector is going to want to see the movement because it's such a treasure to have this vintage movement in the watch. But the original watches were solid caseback, which helped them become anti-magnetic as well. So in the end, you decided, and along with Nicholas, to give us 2 casebacks. So you have both the sapphire caseback and also a second solid caseback, and collectors can choose which one they want to use, right?
Yeah, they can change the caseback. Yeah.
Wow. I have to say, even the dimensions of the crown are so beautiful. It's like large and then flat as well.
Exactly. Right proportion. Yeah. And also the curve of this port.
Yes. Yes.
It's very.
Oh, that's fabulous.
The profile is very beautiful.
Wow.
Beside you.
I'm deeply honored to participate in this project with you. Jean-Loup, you're a great guy.
I took a lot of pleasure also to work with you, and of course we have maybe other projects together for the future. Yeah?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.